Hello, peeps and hello, peppers, and welcome to Thursday Thoughts. Hello, stranger. It's great to have you here. Um, on Thursday, I'm always putting some random thoughts out there. Um, I am a disabled person, like laying in bed 50% of the time. The other 50%, I'm kind of out and about with a rollator named Ferdinand. Um, but actually I'm kind of coming to terms that with the idea that like as I'm getting older, the periods in bed are getting longer. Like especially since today was the first day of this like fall season where it really smelled like snow in Reykjavik, Iceland. Haven't seen the snow yet, but the air has this typical snowy smell. So let's say if there is a lot of snow, that also means that I'm starting to basically hibernate because Reykjavik doesn't do such a good job on cleaning up snow as some places in Central Europe. Um, Snow in itself has become very unpredictable with the climate change, and I think we just have to live with that. But like a couple of years ago, people went like, "Frida, you were in the paper," and I was like, "No one interviewed me. What happened in the paper?" Well, we didn't see your face, but we knew that cap, and we knew that skirt, and we knew that bag, and there were people helping you standing up from the ice. Well, that was when I was still more mobile than I am today. Like today, I can't stand up by myself from the ground anymore, which actually leads me to the topic I wanted to talk about. Like tomorrow is 50 years from the first women's strike in Iceland. I've often heard about this, but mostly no details. And like a person very dear to me told me today that it's kind of important to go tomorrow because it's this big anniversary. And like let's say reading from the stuff that the Facebook algorithm recommends to me about like let's say even women joining uh, political parties that are actually planning to diminish the women's rights a lot. I think we really have to have this conversation, and we really have to have this women's strike, and also like NB strike. But like even when I define myself as an NB, I also saw a Facebook posting by an old friend who says it's like the non-binary people shouldn't necessarily be put in the same pot as the women. But I also get the notion that the non-binary people are a marginalized group. It is a little bit difficult because you don't see uh, in the forehead of the most people that they are non-binary, but okay, trying to make a point here, like as a disabled non-binary person, or sometimes I also say disabled woman with a strong animus. um I heavily rely on like psychologists, peer supporters, disability transportation drivers, establishments that cook for people who can't cook. And okay, the majority of the bus drivers I have seen are male, but I also see an increasing number of like women's bus drivers, and like people in restaurants and bakeries are very often women. People in care jobs are very often women. I am actually a little bit surprised that the majority of folks who sort of do cleaning up and self organization pedagogy with me are men. Um, but yeah, let's wait and see if someone shows up tomorrow in the morning, and let's wait and see what this person has to tell me. Um, I think I have never gone to the demo because with my autism and with my decreasing physical mobility, I do quite poorly in like mass events, and for that matter, may I guess that I even had a only small advantage in a particular worldwide medical situation when basically many events were only accessible online and everybody else was complaining that they didn't get to see any people, and I was like, okay, cool, I don't have to see any people and I can uh stay in bed and rest. Of course, like, I have to admit, after a while it got boring, but and then the mall became my sense of normalcy when it opened again. But let's kind of don't forget, like, not only kind of, but let's don't forget that, like, many service jobs are done by women. It's interesting that the website for this women's event even tries to provide an answer for the question, why am I not allowed to mind my children that day? Of course, this the idea that anyone is not allowed to mind their children is, in this context, inaccurate. The way I gather it, no one forbids anyone to mind any children, but let's say whenever there are such protest actions or like projects to make other people think, it also triggers some sort of fear in some people. Like, I still remember, like, 20 years ago, something, I attended a lecture that was essentially about women's rights movement in Canada, and the lecturer said, well, to change the system, you also need some people who want to stay in the system. And um, I assume that there are a lot of women in the world who actually enjoy minding their children, and also women who don't have anyone else minding the children. For relevant context, let's say my parents did what they could for me with my disability, but I always lived in the same house with grandma and grandpa and great grandma. So I am this child for who it took a village to be raised. Um, and I and some people close to me still think that many things in my life couldn't have worked the same way if those three generations wouldn't have joined hands there. And I know this is uncommon. Like, people were like really flabbergasted or even found that funny when I told them about that I'm living in a 3 to 4 generational household. And I must also admit that my the stressful parts of living in such a household contributed to me moving to Iceland, a country where this is almost unheard of, at least in the sole big city that this country has. Um, but I'm telling this story in order to say, let's think about that many of the unseen jobs in the world are done by women and other people who present as women, even though they may not necessarily identify with the label of being a woman. Um, and yes, dear people, I am royally pissed if someone, mostly from the conservative region of the spectrum, um, tells me that I just reject my femininity by being ace or being non-binary or being whatnot. Um, I am what some people call a spoonie, a person who has only 12 spoonfuls of energy, and I don't really want to waste more spoons than necessary on catering to a man, for instance. Um, I have a lot of meaningful connections, and I think the event tomorrow is also about refreshing, meaningful connections. Maybe if I have the energy and if I find the proper shoes and everything, maybe I will go into town. I actually find it pretty good that the homepage explains like disability, accessibility, like both for wheelchairs and for sign language translation, and explains the changes in the bus routes as far as that goes, because let's say if there is an event and I'm not informed, I'm often like, huh, and that increases my autistic sensory overload. Like, I'm not going into total meltdown, but then I'm kind of turtling my way through the city whenever such a change happens. And I said, oh, those a-holes should have told that before. But again, communication is a two-way road, and let's say anyone who is interested in going downtown around some social event, get all the information as far as this is possible. The construction area in front of my house, I haven't found the respective information yet, and I find this road crossing the way it is now kind of dangerous, but I have to kind of work around it, get more information, and let's say if that really becomes obnoxious and dangerous to more people than just me, then I'll also talk to the city. Like, I mean, Reykjavik is a medium big city, but it is big enough to, yeah, big enough to enjoy the benefits of a big city, but also little enough to find someone to talk to personally. Um, I would also like to support projects towards education, towards women's safety, with my art and with my writing. Um, and let's say safety would actually begin with the knowledge that the police actually does something when people report something. Um, I have heard like many stories of my friends where like the people tried to report a theft and the police didn't do anything, but um, I know that the people are also working their asses off, but there needs to be clear communication, and there needs to be can I call that success? Okay, now I only have 9 seconds left, so I hope this will provide an okay discussion here. Bye bye.